Hi everyone, and we are back with another chapter with me and the chapter of Percy Jackson and the Battle of the Labyrinth. The book has been very interesting. And before we dive into the past chapters, like recapping for a second, I would really like if you could like, share, and subscribe to my channel because that is how we enjoy our lives these days. And I would really love that if you do that. See it to my innocent face, my sweet, sweet face, look at it, and think of all the happiness you could give me if you could like, share, and subscribe to my channel. So, yes, in the previous chapter, we saw that Athena's daughter, Annabeth, was supposed to lead the quest and she did. She's doing a fabulous job, but still there is always a sense of insecurity because Labyrinth isn't a place where you just know where you're going. Anything could happen at any moment and nothing is ever fixed. So Annabeth is worried that she's not doing the best job that she could. Hera came by, but she was of no help. And then they went to a ranch where they finally get in touch with Nico. And surprise, surprise, didn't I not tell you that evil king who imprisoned Daedalus in the labyrinth was the ghost man who was misguiding Nico. So we were right about that. And now Percy has taken up on a task to clean the stables in order to save his friends so that they are not sold to Luke's Princess Andromeda and are not made a pawn into Titan Games. So let's get started to chapter 9. I Scoop Poop. I lost hope when I saw the horse's teeth. As I got closer to the fence, I held my shirt over my nose to block the smell. One stallion waded through the muck and whined angrily at me. He bared his teeth, which were pointed like a bear's. I tried to talk to him in my mind. I can do that with most horses. Hi, I told him. I'm going to clean your stables. Won't that be great? Yes, the horse said. Come inside. Eat you, tasty half-blood. But I'm Poseidon's son, I protested. He created horses. Usually this gets me VIP treatment in the equestrian world, but not this time. Yes, the horse agreed enthusiastically. Poseidon can come in too. We all eat you both. Seafood. Seafood, the other horses chimed in as they waded through the field. The flies were buzzing everywhere, and the heat of the day didn't make the smell any better. I had some idea that I could do this challenge because I remembered how Hercules had done it. He channeled a river into the stables and cleaned them out that way. I figured I could maybe control the water, but if I couldn't get closer to the horses without getting eaten, that was a problem. And the river was downhill from stables, a lot further away than I'd realized. About a kilometer. The problem of the poop looked a lot bigger up close. I picked up a rusted shovel and experimentally scooped some away from the fence lines. Great. Only 4 billion shovelfuls to go. The sun was already sinking. I had a few hours at best. I decided the river was my only hope. At least it would be easier to think at the riverside than it was here. I set off downhill. When I got to the river, I found a girl waiting for me. She was wearing jeans and green t-shirt and her long brown hair was braided with river grass. She had a stern look on her face. Her arms were crossed. "Oh, no, you don't," she said. I stared at her. "Are you a naiad?" She rolled her eyes. "Of course." "But you speak English, and you're not out of the water, and you're out of the water." What? Do you think we can act human if we want to? I'd never thought about it. I felt kind of stupid though, because I'd seen plenty of naiads at camp and they'd never done much more than giggle and wave at me from the bottom of the canoe lake. Look, I said. I just came to ask. I know who you are, she said. And I know what you want. And the answer is no. I'm not going to have my river used again to clean that filthy stable. But oh, save it, sea boy. You ocean god types always think you're so much more important than some little river, don't you? Well, let me tell you, this Naiad is not going to be pushed around just because your daddy is Poseidon. This is freshwater territory, mister. That last guy who asked me this favor? Oh, he was way better looking than you, by the way. He convinced me, and that was the worst mistake I've ever made. Do you have any idea what all that horse manure does to my ecosystem? Do I look like a sewage treatment plant to you? My fish will die. I'll never get the muck out of the plants. I'll be sick for years. No, thank you. The way she talked reminded me of my mortal friend Rachel Elizabeth Dare. Kind of like she was punching me with words. I couldn't blame the Naiad. Now that I thought about it, I'd be pretty mad if somebody dumped 2,000 tons of manure in my home. But still, my friends are in danger, I told her. Well, that's too bad. But it's not my problem. And you're not going to ruin my river. She looked like she was ready for a fight. Her fists were balled, but I thought I heard a little quiver in her voice. Suddenly, I realized that despite her angry attitude, she was afraid of me. She probably thought I was going to fight her for control of the river, and she was worried she would lose. The thought made me sad. I really felt like a bully, a son of Poseidon throwing his weight around. I sat down on a tree stump. Okay, you win. The Naiad looked surprised. Really? I'm not going to fight you. It's your river. She relaxed her shoulders. Oh, good. I mean, good thing for you. But my friends and I are going to get sold to the Titans if I don't clean those stables by sunset. And I don't know how. The river gurgled along cheerfully. A snake slid through the water and ducked its head under. Finally, the Naiad sighed. I'll tell you a secret, son of the sea god. Scoop up some dirt. What? You heard me. I crouched down and scooped up a handful of Texas dirt. It was dry and black and spotted with tiny clumps of white rock. No, something besides rock. Those are shells, the Naiad said. Petrified seashells. Millions of years ago, even before the time of the gods, when only Gaia and Uranus reigned, this land was underwater. It was part of the sea. Suddenly, I saw what she meant. There were little pieces of ancient urchins in my hand. Mollusk shells. Even the limestone rocks had impressions of seashells embedded on them. Okay, what good does that do to me? You're not so different from me, demigod. Even when I'm out of the water is within me. It is my life source. She stepped back, put her feet in the river, and smiled. I hope you find a way to rescue your friends. And with that, she turned to liquid and melted into the river. Very cool exit. We love that. The sun was touching the hills when I got back to the stables. Somebody must have come by and fed the horses because they were tearing into huge animal carcass. I couldn't tell what kind of animal and I really didn't want to know. If it was possible for the stables to get more disgusting, 50 horses tearing into raw meat did it. Seafood, one thought when he saw me. Come in, we're still hungry. What was I supposed to do? I couldn't use the river, and the fact that this place had been underwater a million years ago didn't exactly help me now. I looked at the little calcified seashell in my palm, then the huge mountain of dung. Frustrated, I threw the shell into the poop. I was about to turn my back on the horses when I heard a sound, like a balloon with a leak. I looked down where I had thrown the shell. A tiny sprout of water was shooting out of the muck. No way, I muttered. Hesitantly, I stepped towards the fence. Get bigger, I told the water spout. Splash! The water shot a meter into the air and kept bubbling. It was impossible, but there it was. A couple of horses came over to check it out. One put his mouth to the spring and recoiled. Yuck, he said. Salty. It was seawater in the middle of Texas ranch. I scooped up a handful of dirt and picked out the shell fossils. I didn't really know what I was doing, but I ran around the length of the stable, throwing shells into the dung piles. Everywhere a shell hit, a saltwater spring erupted. Stop! The horses cried. Meat is good, baths are bad. Then I noticed the water wasn't running out of the stables or flowing downhill like water normally would. It simply bubbled around each spring and sank into the ground, taking the dung with it. The horse poop dissolved in the salt water, leaving regular old wet earth. More, I yelled. There was a tugging sensation in my gut, and the water spouts exploded like the world's largest car wash. Salt water shot 6 meters into the air. The horses went crazy, running back and forth as the geysers sprayed them from all directions. Mountains of poop began to melt like ice. The tugging sensation became more intense, painful even, but there was something exhilarating about seeing all that salt water. I made this. I had brought the ocean to this hillside. Stop, Lord, a horse cried. Stop, please. Water was sloshing everywhere now. The horses were drenched and some were panicking and slipping in the mud. The poop was completely gone. Tons of it just dissolved into the earth, and the water was now starting to pool, trickling out of the stable, making 100 little streams down towards the river. Stop, I told the water. Nothing happened. The pain in my gut was building. If I didn't shut off the geysers soon, the salt water would run into the river and poison the fish and plants. Stop! I concentrated all my might on shutting off the force of the sea. Suddenly, the geysers shut down. I collapsed to my knees, exhausted. In front of me was a shiny, clean horse stable, a field of wet, salty mud, and 50 horses that had been scoured so thoroughly their coats gleamed. Even the meat scraps between their teeth had been washed out. We won't eat you, the horses wailed. Please, Lord, no more salty baths. On one condition. You only eat the food your handlers give you from now on, not people. Or I'll be back with more seashells. The horses whined and made me a whole lot of promises that they would be a good flesh-eating horses from now on. But I didn't stick around to hear. The sun was getting down, and I turned and ran full speed towards the ranch house. See, between us, nobody has this type of energy. I mean, you are completely drained, and yet you have energy to run full speed to the ranch house, which is a long distance, by the way. This is so unrealistic. I would start to cry if something like that happened to me. I would just sit there and tell the horses, just eat me up. Seriously. Also, I do picture Annabeth Percy Grover to be a little buffer than most teenagers their age. Mostly because they practice a lot, they fight a lot, they run a lot. So there is a lot of physical activity. So there has to be some sort of muscle building in their body. Also, they don't eat much. I mean, they do eat, but still. Yeah, I do picture them buff, more buff. Not Clarice buff, but buff enough. I said that because I don't see that in the fan arts. The fan arts show them skinny and all. So I don't know. Is that a detail I missed in the book, or is that something the fans in together agree? If please do comment and tell me if I'm right or wrong. I smelled barbecue before I reached the house, and that made me madder even than ever because I really love barbecue. The deck was set up for a party, streamers and balloons decorated with railing. Garyon was flipping burgers on the huge barbecue cooker made from an oil drum. Eurasian, oh god, I forgot his pronunciation again. Eurasian lounged at a picnic table, picking his fingernails with a knife. The two-headed dog sniffed the ribs and burgers that were frying on the grill. And then I saw my friends, Tyson, Grover, Annabeth, and Nico, all tossed in a corner, tied up like rodeo animals, with their ankles and wrists roped together and their mouths gagged. "Let them go," I yelled, still out of breath from running up the steps. I cleaned the stables. Garyon turned. He wore an apron on each chest with one word on each, so together they spelled out, "Kiss the Chef." "Did you now? How'd you manage it?" I was pretty impatient, but I told him. He nodded appreciatively. "Very ingenious." "It would have been better if you'd poisoned the pesky naiad, but no matter. Let my friends go," I said. "We had a deal." "Ah, I've been thinking about that. The problem is, if I let them go, I don't get paid." "You promised." Garyon made a noise. "But did you make me swear on river Styx?" "No, you didn't. So it's not binding." "When you're conducting business, Sonny, you should always get a binding oath." I drew my sword. Orthus growled. One head leaned down next to Grover's ear and bared his fangs. "Eurasian," Garyon said. "The boy is starting to annoy me. Kill him." Eurasian studied me. I didn't like my odds against him and that huge club. "Kill him yourself," Eurasian said. Garyon raised his eyebrows. "Excuse me?" "You heard me," he grumbled. "You keep sending me out to do your dirty work. You pick fights for no good reason, and I'm tired of dying for you. You want to fight the kid? Do it yourself." "Come at me, bro. See what happens." It was the most un-Ares-like thing I'd ever heard a son of Ares say. Garyon threw down his spatula. "You dare defy me? I should fire right now. And who'd take care of your cattle?" "Orthus? He'll." The dog immediately stopped growling at Grover and came to sit by the cowherd's feet. "Fine," Garyon snarled. "I'll deal with you later, after the boy is dead." He picked up two carving knives and threw them at me. I deflected one with my sword. The other impaled itself in the picnic table, a millimeter from Eurasian's head. I went on the attack. Garyon parried my first strike with a pair of red-hot tongs and lunged at my face with a barbecue fork. I got inside his next thrust and stabbed him right through the middle chest. Ah! He crumpled to his knees. I waited for him to disintegrate the way monsters usually do, but instead he just grimaced and began to stand up. The bleeding slice through his chef apron started to heal. Nice try, Sonny. Thing is, I have 3 hearts. The perfect backup system. You know who else has 3 hearts? Doctor Who. You should look up. He tipped over the barbecue. No, wait. Doctor Who has 2 hearts. I think Doctor Who has 2 hearts. My bad. 3 hearts are cockroaches. Cockroaches have 3 hearts. He tipped over the barbecue and coals spilled everywhere. One landed next to Annabeth's face and she let out a muffled scream. Tyson strained against his bonds, but even his strength wasn't enough to break them. I had to end this fight before my friends got hurt. I jabbed Garyon in the left chest, but he only laughed. I stuck him in the right stomach. No good. I might as well have been sticking a sword in a teddy bear for all the reaction he showed. 3 hearts. The perfect backup system. Stabbing one at a time was no good. I ran into the house. Coward! Come back and die right! He cried. The living room walls were decorated with a bunch of gruesome hunting trophies. Stuffed deer and dragon heads. A gun case, a sword display and a bow with quiver. Garyon threw his barbecue fork and thudded into the wall right next to my head. He drew 2 swords from the wall display. Your head's gonna go right there, Jackson, next to the grizzly bear. I had a crazy idea. I dropped Riptide and grabbed the bow off the shelf. I was the worst archer shot in the world. I couldn't hit the targets at camp, much less a bullseye. But I had no choice. I couldn't win this fight with a sword. I prayed to Artemis and Apollo, the twin archers, hoping they might take pity on me for once. Please, guys, just one shot. Please. You know, Percy, I pray the same way to my gods. And they've been pretty chill about it. I notched an arrow. Garyon laughed. You fool! 1 arrow is no better than 1 sword. He raised his sword and charged. I dived sideways. Before he could turn, I shot my arrow into the side of his right chest. I heard thump, 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 as the arrow passed clean through each of his chest and flew out his left side, embedding itself in the forehead of the grizzly bear trophy. Garyon dropped his swords. He turned and stared at me. You can't shoot. They told me you couldn't. His face turned a sickly shade of green. He collapsed to his knees and began crumbling into sand until all that was left were 3 cooking aprons and an oversized pair of cowboy boots. I got my friends untied. Eurytion didn't try to stop me. Then I stoked up the barbecue and threw the food into the flame as a burnt offering to Artemis and Apollo. Thanks, guys. I owe you one, I said. The sky thundered in the distance, so I figured maybe the burger smelled okay. Yay for Percy, Tyson said. Can we tie this cowherd up now? Nico asked. Yeah, and that dog almost killed me, Grover agreed. I looked at Eurytion, who was still sitting relaxed at the picnic table. Orthus had both his heads on the coward's knee. How long will it take Garyon to reform? I asked him. Eurytion shrugged. 100 years? He's not one of those fast reformers, thank the gods. You've done me a favor. You said you'd die for him before, I remembered. How? I worked for that creep for thousands of years. Started as a regular half-blood, but I chose immortality when my dad offered it. Worst mistake I've ever made. Now I'm stuck here at this ranch. I can't leave. I can't quit. I just tend the cows and fight Garyon's fights. We're kind of tied together. Maybe you can change things, I said. Eurytion narrowed his eyes. How? Be nice to animals. Take care of them. Stop selling them for food and stop dealing with the titans. Eurytion thought about that. That'd be alright. Get the animals on your side and they'll help you. Once Garyon gets back, maybe he'll be working for you this time. Eurytion grinned. Now that I could live with. You won't try to stop us leaving. Shoot no. Annabeth rubbed her bruised wrists. She was still looking at Eurytion suspiciously. Your boss said that somebody paid for our safe passage. Who? Coward shrugged. Maybe he was just saying that to fool you. What about the Titans? Did you iris message them about Nico yet? I asked. Nope. Gideon was waiting until after the barbecue. They don't know anything about him. Nico was glaring at me. I wasn't sure what to do about him. I doubted he would agree to come with us. On the other hand, I couldn't just let him roam around on his own. You could stay here until we're done with our quest, I told him. It would be safe. Safe, Nico said. What do you care if I'm safe? You got my sister killed. Nico, Annabeth said. That wasn't Percy's fault. And Geryon wasn't lying about Kronos wanting to capture you. If he knew who you were, he'd do anything to get you on his side. I'm not on anyone's side, and I'm not afraid. You should be. Your sister wouldn't want, Annabeth said. If you cared for my sister, you'd help me bring her back. A soul for a soul, I said. Yes. But if you didn't want my soul, I'm not explaining anything to you. He blinked tears out of his eyes. And I will bring her back. Bianca wouldn't want to be brought back, I said. Not like that. You didn't know her, he shouted. How do you know what she'd wanted? I stared at the flames in the barbecue pit. I thought about the line in Annabeth's prophecy. You shall rise or fall by the Ghost King's hand. That had to be Minos, and I had to convince Nico not to listen to him. Let's ask Bianca. The sky seemed to grow darker all of a sudden. I've tried. She won't answer, Nico said miserably. Try again. I've got a feeling she'll answer with me here. Why would she? Because she's been sending me iris messages, I said, suddenly sure of it. She's been trying to warn me what you're up to so I can protect you. Nico shook his head. That's impossible. One way to find out. You said you're not afraid. I turned to Eurytion. We're going to need a pit like a grave and food and drinks. Percy, I don't think this is a good Annabeth want. All right, I'll try, Nico said. Eurytion scratched his beard. There's a whole dugout back for the septic tank. We could use that. Cyclops boy, fetch my ice chest from the kitchen. I hope the dead like root beer. Wow, what a turn. This chapter was quite action packed, and also seriously, if I was in Percy's situation, even if I ran all the way very tired, ran all the way from the stables to the ranch house, I would still be so tired I would let Garyon kill me. Seriously, I would not have this much energy. And I have ADHD, so I know what I'm talking about. I would have just killed me. You know what? Just end it here. Better for the best, all of us. That would be my response. Anyway, that was a lot to take in. Also, Annabeth warning. Percy maybe would want to listen to her. But also the prophecy. We need to know the full prophecy, or maybe I missed the full prophecy. Was that the full prophecy Annabeth said? I'm pretty sure that wasn't it. So I would really like to know the full prophecy. Annabeth, please, I beg of you. Anyway, I think we should wait till the next chapter and find out what happens. I will see you guys tomorrow with the new chapter. Stay tuned. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Bye.